Hi, everybody. So I just wanted to go over the Unit 6 review number 1 with you. Sometimes just looking at a key isn't very helpful. So you did not have to do the first one. If you did want to try it, any of you that wanted that extra practice, if you're looking for the x-intercept, remember that's where it hits the y-axis, or excuse me, the x-axis, so your y value would be 0. So basically you just plug 0 in for y and solve for x. So you'd be left with, this would be 0. So negative 5x equals 18. Divide by negative 5. And your x value, where that would hit, let's go to our calculator. 18 divided by negative 5 would be negative 3.6. So if you're looking at that on a graph, it's hitting about here. Whatever that line might look like. So it'd be the point negative 3.60. Again, that's not something that you're going to need this year. It was just something extra I added in. You did not have to do that question. All right. The y-intercept, on the other hand, is important. You could do the same where you plug 0 in for x, or you could solve like we normally would to find your slope and y-intercept. I'd encourage you to keep that going. So an easy way, if you're having trouble solving for y, draw the line down from the equal sign, because remember, this is what you're trying to get your equation to look like. Y equals, so y is by itself, equals mx plus b. So you have your term with your slope and your term with your y-intercept. So I like to circle the term that has a y in it, because that's what's going to stay on that side. All right, and then I can see that 9x sticking out there. That needs to go, so I'm going to subtract it from both sides. So I'm left with negative 3y equals, and you can't just subtract 42 and 9. One has an x, one doesn't. So remember, you want it to look like this. So we're going to put the term with the x first, negative 9x, and then a positive 42. Now we're going to divide everything by negative 3. And if you're not sure, use your calculator. Negative 9 divided by negative 3. If you're not sure, you have this calculator all the time. It's positive 3x. And then 42 divided by negative 3, it's positive negative 14. All right, so if I was going to graph, I'd be all set. I could go to y equals now. But right now, we are just looking to find the y-intercept, which would be negative 14. All right, if it asked you for your slope, it would be 3. All right, it is extremely important that you're able to solve for y, not just in this unit, but in upcoming units. If you do have to take the Regents exam, I know that's still up in the air, but you're going to have to rearrange equations in order to graph them. So again, figure out where your equal sign is, draw the line down. Some of you may not need a line, and that's fine. Now you're trying to get it so y is by itself. So again, circle the term with a y in it, including the sign. Now you can see that 21 is just kind of hanging out. It's positive, so I'm going to subtract it. So I'm left with negative 3y equals, and again, you want it to be y equals mx plus b. So put the term with the x first. So the positive 4x will go first, and then the negative 21. Y isn't quite alone. Sometimes that's the only thing you need to do, but in this case, I have that negative 3, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 3. And you're left with y equals 4 divided by negative 3. You don't want to leave it like that. How are you going to use that to graph? So we just hit math, enter, enter. We'll change it to a fraction, negative 4/3. Keep your x there. You could put the x up top with the 4 like it is now, or leave it off to the side. You don't want to put it in the bottom of the fraction. All right, negative 21 divided by negative 3 gives us a positive 7. And now you're ready to graph. All right, there's 2 ways you can graph, remember. You can go to y equals in your calculator and make a table. Or you could say, okay, 7 is my y-intercept, which is also where you start. Here's your y-axis. And then your slope is negative 4 over 3. So the negative just means you go down 4, but you always go to the right, whether it's positive or negative. So from here, from your y-intercept, go down 4 over 3. Down 4 over 3. All right, get a few points on there, and then you can line up your ruler. Down 4 over 3. The more points you have, the more accurate. Now, if you can't remember that, or you just want to double check to make sure you did it correctly, this is called a graphing calculator for a reason. As long as y is by itself, you have to be able to get y by itself, then you can type this in. So negative, to put a fraction in, remember that's alpha y equals. Hit enter. Again, alpha y equals, I don't know what's up with this is writing, but whatever. Definitely need, looks like a K, to know how to deal with fractions in your calculator. All right, so y equals, alpha y equals negative 4 over 3. Just use your arrow keys. You can put the negative in front or up top with the 4, it doesn't matter. But again, make sure that x goes off to the side. Hit that right arrow key first. You don't want it in the denominator. Plus 7. So this is a good tool because you can make sure that the graph you just drew looks like that. Looks pretty similar. Get actual points from the table. Now, some of these points we can't plot. Like, how am I going to plot negative 5 41/3? No, pick nice numbers. So negative 311, which I can't plot on there, but that's okay. Keep scrolling. 0, 7, which is right here. That's your y-intercept. I bet the next point that we see that's not a fraction is going to be 3, 3. 3, 3. So you could get your points that way as well. You'll always have your calculator. 6, negative 1. So you can either use your graphing calculator to get the points or even to check to make sure you did slope y-intercept. Again, start at the y-intercept, use the slope like steps. All right, now we want to draw our line. I definitely cannot draw a line by hand, so I'm just going to use this function. You want to make a nice big line that goes all the way through your graph, and I just went here to get that. Now, in order for full credit, you need to show your line goes on forever with arrows, and then label it with the equation. I like to use the new equation, but you can use either one. Okay. Moving on, write the equation of the line that has a y-intercept of negative 5 and a slope of 6. Remember your y equals mx plus b. Anytime you write an equation, start with y equals. Your slope goes with x, so 6x, and your y-intercept goes by itself, minus 5. Quick and easy. All right, on to the next page, page 35. Write the equation of the line that passes through the point 6, negative 1 with a slope of negative 2/3. You need the slope and the y-intercept. So we have negative 2/3. We have part of it, but the y-intercept is not negative 1. That is the y value in this point. What you want to do is plot that point, so 6, negative 1. And then you can use your slope to find what the y-intercept is. Now your slope's negative 2 over 3. So I'm going to go down 2 over 3, again, always going to the right. So if you want to work your way back towards the y-intercept, you have a couple options. You can use your ruler, but you have to be very, very careful to make sure that you're very accurate with this. Line it up with those points. See, even there, it's kind of tough to tell. It looks like 3, but to be sure, let's use our slope backwards. All right, so we went down 2 from our original point. We went down 2 over 3. So if we go up 2 and backwards 3, up 2 and backwards 3, you'll find your y-intercept, which is 3. So now you can write your equation, y equals negative 2/3 x plus 3. All right, now if you wanted to do it by hand, remember you can use y equals mx plus b and then the x and y value of your point. So this is option 2. I know many of you like to just use the graph, but I want to hit on this. So instead of y equals, I'm going to put in the value negative 1 equals from our point. Instead of m times x, m is slope, remember? So negative 2/3 times my x value in my point, 6, plus b. So basically what we did there, we're taking our formula. We know the slope, which is m. We're trying to find the y-intercept, which is b, so we're going to solve for b. And then we used the point that was there, the x and y value, and substituted it in. So now if you solve this, you'll be able to find your y-intercept that way. Negative 2/3 times 6. Hit second quit to get out of there. So alpha y equals, enter to get your fraction, negative 2/3. Hit the right arrow button to get out, times 6, negative 4. Now again, you're trying to solve for b. I see a minus 4, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. And negative 1 plus 4 gives us 3 for our b, which is exactly what we found on the graph. I personally like the graphing method, but you can decide what you'd like to use. Okay, write the equation of the line that passes through these points. You could use the graph above, plot them, and find the equation, but let's practice with this great tool, stat. So if you want to find the equation between any 2 points, first thing you want to do is make a table. Because when we go to stat, we need to make sure that our x's go in list 1 and our y's go in list 2. All right, so stat is right here. This button is so important, not only for this unit, but a few others as well. So you hit stat, enter. There's already stuff in there, so up, clear, down. Up, so the list is highlighted, clear, down. Don't ever hit delete because you'll have to reset your calculator. So you hit stat, enter. And then to get the information, we're going to hit stat again, but we're going to go over and have the calculator do some calculations and choose choice 4. So again, everything's in stat. You already put your numbers in the list. Oh, no, I didn't. I just cleared. Sorry. 8, 6 for my x's, negative 2, enter, negative 10 for my y's. So double check 8, negative 2, yep. 6, negative 10, good to go. So now we're going to hit stat again. That's the nice part. It's all right there. We're going to go over to where it says calc or calculate. I know it's not exactly the same, but this choice 4 linear regression, ax plus b, it's the same as mx plus b. So we're going to choose choice 4. And it's just asking you, are your x's in list 1 and y's in list 2? Yeah. Just go down and hit calculate. And look what comes up. Just copy it down. Y equals ax plus b. That's the form of the equation. Your a, or your m, which is your slope, is 4. And your y-intercept is negative 34. So now you can just answer the question. What's your slope? 4. What's your y-intercept? Negative 34. Yeah, that would have been fun trying to find it on the graph. So your equation, this right here tells you your equation. All right, it's telling you to just take out the a and b and replace it with what the a and b are here. So my equation is y equals, instead of ax, it's 4x. Instead of plus b, it's minus 34. Take advantage of that. All right. Write the equation of a vertical line that passes through the point negative 5, 6. Well, let's think about a vertical line. Always sketch your x and y axis for these. A vertical line runs up and down. If you want, you can plot the point negative 5, 6. It'd be back 5, up 6, so maybe about right here. A vertical line, you need to know, goes straight up and down. So it never touches the y-axis, so there's no y in the equation. It's hitting the x-axis. So it's x equals, and the x value in our point is -5. That's the only type of line that's not a function because it fails the vertical line test, and it can't be put in your calculator. The next one can, though. Write the equation of a horizontal line. So again, I'm going to quickly draw my x and y axis. Through the point 2, -7, that would be about, we'll say here. Doesn't have to be perfect. A horizontal line goes straight across like the horizon. This is only hitting the y-axis. So there's no x in the equation. It's just y equals. And what value is your y in the point? The -7. So it's y equals -7. Now, the nice thing about it is you can check it in your calculator by going to y equals, type -7. Does that look similar to the graph? It sure does. It's a horizontal line. All right, utilize that calculator. All right, the last part of this is just these word problems on the back. A large truck fills its gas tank. The volume, as a large truck fills its gas tank, the volume of the gas in gallons can be modeled with a linear function. So here's our equation. And notice it's very similar to y equals mx plus b. All right, here's your slope. Here's your y-intercept. It says v is the volume of gas, and m, which is where your x would be, is the number of minutes. All right, so how many gallons of gas were in the truck when they started? Remember, your y-intercept is your starting amount. Your slope is the amount that it's changing, or the rate. So this is looking for a y-intercept. It's just 8.2. And 8.2 what? Gallons of gas. What rate? Rate's another word for slope. What's the slope in that equation? 4.8. And that would be gallons per minute. That's how fast it's filling. All right. Determine how many gallons will be in the truck after it has been filling for 10 minutes. Okay, what variable is that? Well, m is the number of minutes. We see that right here. So I'm going to take my equation. V equals, instead of 4.8 times m, it's going to be 4.8 times 10 because that's the number of minutes, plus the amount that was in there initially. All right, so 4.8 times 10 plus the 8.2 gallons that were already in there. So the total volume was 56.2 gallons is what would be in there after 10 minutes. Again, just using that equation. All right, here's our equation. You can almost answer these questions without reading the word problem. What's the rate? I mean, we're going to, but that's your slope. How tall was the plant when she received it? The starting amount. That's your y-intercept. All right, so Tony gets a plant from her aunt as a gift, and each day, Tony records the height of her plant. She notices that her plant grows at a steady rate each day. All right, that's a keyword for slope, and comes up with the following equation to model her plant's height, which is h in inches as a function of how many days n have gone by. So what is the rate? That's another word for slope. 0.64 inches is how much it's growing each day. How tall was it when she received it? Again, whatever the starting amount is always your y-intercept. So it was 5.5 inches tall. And how tall will her plant be in 17 days? Well, remember, days is n, right? So I'm going to take that equation, 0.64 times the number of days, plus the initial amount. And throw it into the calculator. 0.64 times 17 plus 5.5. Pretty tall plant. 16.38 inches is how tall it's going to be. All right, so there's review 1 in the end of our packet. Yay. I will be posting a second review, and then your test will be coming up this week. Have a great day.